So how long has this building been standing, do you know?
About 300 years.
300 years?
Well,
This is of
1850.
1850.
Yeah.
And do you know what it was prior to it becoming...
Don't know.
Prior to, well, before the house was built, like I said, that plot of land next door where that house is, basically this whole block radius used to be the old slave pens and the old slave trading kind of headquarters. So they had offices for the slave traders where they did all the businesses. They had the auction block. And then around this area, they had pens where they kept all the slaves waiting to be sold. And so basically between 1830 and 1850, that's when this section of Esplanade started becoming residential, and they wanted to make it kind of like the Creole Millionaires Row, kind of like the equivalent of St. Charles Uptown. And so that's where all the grand mansions started being built and everything. Actually, the Lamont House next door was built in 1830. So like around that time, like they started converting the area from what it was to its current state.
And there's actually, there's a sign right there.
There's a sign marking it.
You need to check out the sign
Okay.
there about that this was the slave trade area.
Because at the time, because of the code, they wouldn't allow the keeping of slaves pre-purchase inside the city anymore. And the French Quarter was, I mean, that's the original city. So it was all relegated to the outskirts. And at the time, this was the outskirts.
Because we're just across the street from it. You know, that's the French Quarter. You cross the street, you're in the French Quarter. This is the Maryland. So it's a whole different world.
Across the neutral ground right there.
Right.
So we're considered not the quarter, but the Maryland.
Weirdest history ever.
Yes.
Yeah. We know why things happened. I mean, you can learn about the history and why all of that happened and the weird reasonings behind it. But you listen to it and you hear it and you go, I can't believe this. Is this some sort of a story made for TV, or is it true? Or
Reality.
I know it's terrible.
No, it is terrible.
It's reality, and like I said, I mean, New Orleans has been here for 300 years, so there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of things that you can, pick up on. You can sense, you can smell, you can, sometimes see. I mean, there's times when I've walked by, the Laurie Mansion, or walked by the Ursuline Convent, or walked by where Zach and Addie was killed, or going by different places where I know the history. I know there's ghosts, there's hauntings, things like that. I've seen several things, like probably one of the most famous recent ghosts, which, like I said, y'all are going to go do a seance at Zach and Addie's, but Zach committed suicide after the killing and jumped off the top of the St. Louis Hotel. Well, one night I was just walking over in that area, and so the story is you can see a blue orb light going in the direction of how he jumped off the balcony onto the street. And I saw that light one night. I saw it just clear as day, and it just moved in slow motion, like coming from over the balcony out into the air down to the street.
Wow.
So if you aren't familiar with where he's talking about, it's at the corner of Royal and St. Louis. The hotel takes up the whole block between Charters and Royal. at St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where he jumped.
Wow. So at this stage, what we did is we decided to stop filming because the lovely neighbours had said they wanted us to have a look through their house or their apartment as part of this building complex, and it's their private personal space, so we didn't want to film in there. But let me tell you, wow, it's such a beautiful wood everywhere and a collection like I've never seen.
Yeah.
Be aware also that this building has had a lot of history, and the part that we missed out in telling was this building was originally a like a hotel or a place where people could come to drink in the 50s and the 60s, where interracial people could come and meet together. Also gay people could come and meet, but it was all very quiet and hidden, and the police would come and raid. So it was a place where they were trying to bring hope and remove the
Stigma
and the racism, and just let people be who they were. It was truly amazing, but we wanted to keep that private for these people, so we'll keep going on with the story from here.
And so like I said, this is Esplanade Avenue. So like I said, this is the boundary of the French Quarter and the Marigny. And the Marigny is actually the first suburb of New York.
Yeah.
So
So interesting that you have this church here.
yes. And it's fitting that they built this church on top of like the old slave grounds.
Yeah.
And it's now a house actually.
Oh wow.
Oh, this is the...
Oh, this is the sign.
yeah. So we're looking to the right, we need to look to the left for Renata. The cars come on the different side of the road.
So this one on the back.
Oh, they don't like that sign. Ow. 50 documented sites. So all slaves would come into New Orleans and then be traded out.
Yeah, they would get off the boat out there on the dock.
Yeah.
And they would come to the various slave pens.
My God. 2 million men, women and children.
So we keep saying we're not scared of the living, we're the dead, we're scared of the living. And what humans can do to each other.
I know, we can be so cruel. But we can also be loving, we can be kind.
Oh, the movie. Right. Wow. Wow.
Yes.
This is the... Sometimes you see these movies and you think, oh yeah, that's the movie, and then you actually are here and it's like, wow.
Yes. It's so much history.
Nothing on the other side?
Same thing.
Oh, same thing, okay.
Yes, it's so much history. And again, like I said, so much energy.
Yeah.
Think about all the lives
Yeah.
that walk these same streets
Yep.
200 years ago, 300 years ago.
And how much of a different position you are now in from what they were in.
Yes.
And that there isn't really a lot that separates you from them, really, if you think about it.
And that's why, like, there's a spirit of thankfulness, there's a humbleness, there's an appreciation. Because it's like, I know that's the energy that's in there.
Yeah.
It's like those were our ancestors.
Yes. Yep.
I still think the house has called you here.
not now.
Not now.
The construct of it was you had a downstairs, you had a open fire pit, but you had the kitchen here. And the kitchen was always outside of the house. It was never in the main house. So
For safety, yeah. Am I okay to film in here?
yeah.
Yeah? Alright. Just giving the backstory and the history. So we're just saying that this was the
Master's house.
the master's house, or we saw it the masters. It's the British in us. Masters.
The master's
Sorry.
And
And
Master's house.
and this was the privileged slave quarters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where the woman he was truly in love with, the black woman he was truly in love with, that he made children with, that he took care of as a family.
Yeah.
They had two families.
Yeah.
Masters always had two families.
Well, and the thing with about slaves here in New Orleans, because slaves here in New Orleans lived under the Code Noir. So the Code Noir was basically a French governance of how to treat slaves, and they treated slaves. Think about it. You wanted the best. This is your proximity to the master's house, and like I said, in New Orleans, this was the original city, and it was the city. There was there was opera, there was all the cultural things of New Orleans. It was like a very downtown type of existence. And all of the plantation owners had, like, where you going to Oak Alley and all that, that was where they had their kingdoms out there, but they came to the city to do all of their business.
Right.
So thinking about the people who actually lived in the city and lived that kind of downtown, that kind of urban existence, like to be a slave inside of this network was very privileged as opposed to being out on the plantation, out on the field.
Yeah.
And also because of the proximity of everyone else around you, you kind of, as a white person, you didn't want drama. You didn't want them to see that you were looking after the people and controlling what was going on. So it was also something, about doing things in a way that kept things very down to earth and
Hidden,
and
Hidden is the
quiet,
word.
and you didn't want disrespect. You didn't want people to think that you weren't able to cope with who you had you were looking after and all of that. So
And this was actually part of where the maronry came into play. One, the maronry came into play because, like I said, New Orleans started expanding. Like in 1800, like the city started busting out of the walls. So in 1803, this was, like I said, the first subdivision that was laid out.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the slave owners, they would come here to New Orleans and participate in a system called passage. So they would go to the Bourbon Orleans Hotel, they would go to the St. Louis Hotel, and they had quadrant balls where they presented all black girls or black girls of color. And they would go to the balls and pick a mistress.
we learned about that.
I
Didn't we?
read that last night.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that mistress that they picked, they would be pretty much set up for life.
Yeah.
And so they would bear the master's children, and he bought them houses and put them here in the maronry. And so whenever they was out there at the plantation with their wife, they was out there, but whenever they was in the city, they was here with their black family.
You were touched on the shoulder?
touched on the shoulder.
You did?
Yeah, I'm covered in goosebumps. It was very gentle, very, very, very gentle. It's almost like we want this story to be told.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that like they want this story to be told.
Of course they want this story to be told. Of course they do. Yeah.
I want to say, if they want the story to be told, why would they take years to y'all to get the story told?
Because you can hear them, you can see them.
You can see them, but it's through one person can make so much change. So never devalue your worth as to why you're the chosen one in this particular case, or that you might have a story to share. This works in mysterious ways.
Like,
and
even the way our paths have crossed.
Yeah.
This is very strange.
So
you have affected us. We will go ahead and affect other people, and it's this ripple effect that keeps going and keeps moving
Now,
through.
with your permission, we will tell your story and tell the story of those who are here, if you're okay with that. I mean, we don't have a huge following on YouTube yet. All the 200 people that watch our videos love it.
Hey, but I feel like the story needs to get out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It needs to get out.
Yeah, well, I think we're here for a reason, and that gentle touch just then was like, wow.
Well, that was acceptance. So you're okay to be here. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all right. You would have felt a push rather than a
You guys remember when I told you that my finger got caught? This is what my finger got caught in when I went to open the door. This
Oh,
right
yes,
here.
that.
And it was like this, because I went like this. The door was open, I went like this to go into it, and my finger got caught right up in here, and I swung, and I was like, ouch. And that's just what I heard. Again, you know, like, how ironic was it for my finger to get caught up in this?
Do you, when you come home, do you come in and say, hello, I'm home?
I don't.
Well, usually what I do is I always I say good morning. As I'm leaving and getting ready for work. It's like I make it a point to acknowledge. Like, and I say good morning, hope everyone has a great day, and you know, that's kind of how I proceed on my day. You know, as you can see, I have my Marie Laveau altar here, my Papa Shango altar, so, you know,
We welcome the other side. And for us to be a married couple, we definitely together married. I mean, like, we don't have a problem believing in the other side in our relationship.
And that's why they're talking to you.
You may have some partners that, well, one believes and the other one doesn't believe in this. But I know for a strong fact that it does exist, and it was ironic that he believed in it.
And one of these beautiful souls that's here used to, when she was out and about, she would pick wildflowers or flowers from around here, because she's showing me coming home with a handful of flowers. Like, she would bring flowers in and pop them somewhere to give colour into this place, to bring joy and happiness into this place. And that was one of the things that she did.
and you know, I had this vision about flowers.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
yeah, he had a
did.
vision about flowers, because I had John him $600 to pay bills, and he had way about $600 worth of flowers.
That was the first, I promise you, when we first
I was
moved
burnt
in,
up.
I kid you not, it was just this voice that was speaking to me about do the courtyard, flowers.
Because they redid that courtyard. Him and Miss Pam and Mr. Kirk, they redid that courtyard. All that, it wasn't like that when they moved in or when we moved in. The guy that lived there, he took a lot of his place, but they redid it. So, and it was a great thing that even the guy that lived there that left, he bought flowers.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like,
Now you're thinking about it.
well, no, like, and going back to that moment, like, you know, we always have conscious choice about doing things, you know. So that was one of the things that me and Pam and Kurt had talked about, was talking about doing the courtyard and the flowers and stuff. So it was something that was on the agenda anyway, but that particular week though, like, it was like out of nowhere, like this sense of urgency came
You're
to me.
compelled.
And it was like, and it was like, it was just this vision and overwhelming feeling about flowers and flowers, and, you know, and I guess going up to that day though, it was so hot outside, you know, New Orleans, the heat, the summer, you know, and all that. So I had I wasn't even really trying to do it that day, but something told me that Saturday morning,
It was a
get up.
Friday.
That Friday, it was like, get up and do it.